Now, let's look at the simplest benefit of the loader, feeding a crafting station. At first glance, it looks like an absolute cheat code. Direct input, maximum speed, perfect compression, and that's exactly why people call it overpowered. But let's look at the reality of this engineering grid. Firstly, even this 1x1 square loader is not a direct magic replacement for an inserter. Look, if you want to move items between two chests or two factories, an inserter is a perfect little bridge. To replicate the same interaction with the loader, though, you don't just swap inserters for loaders. You redesign the footprint around them. And when it scales up to a real build, it can end up with something like this. It's bigger, more complicated, and it doesn't scale. Oh, and it requires 30 loaders, which is a bit much for a simple upgrade, don't you think? Now, let's make it practical and look at where the magic actually happens. If you use loaders where they actually make sense, like this high throughput circuit line, you're looking at something like 4 to 8 loaders. That is still an investment, but in return, you get throughput that actually makes it fair. And if we scale this into the late game, we get something like this. Simple, stable, reliable. At this stage, loaders become very good at one specific thing, guaranteeing massive throughput while keeping the layout visually clean. An inserter-based version here would demand more attention. Sometimes additional inserter capacity research. Sometimes awkward designs. Meanwhile, loaders just work. But even in clean layouts, there is a catch you should see. And at the same time, it is a moment when the OP opinion hits the reality of the real assembly line. Look at this blue circuit build. An inserter respects the machine's internal buffer. But loader? The loader does not care. It pushes a massive wave of circuits into the assembler, and that actually matters. Sometimes, to stabilize such a build, you may even temporarily block outputs during startup. So for this case, loaders are not removing engineering problems. They are creating different ones. And that is not all. Let's look at the actual physical layout we've got here. I've laid down some concrete to the sides to make the comparison easier. The starting points are identical. And if we compare, we see that the loader version takes actually more space. And once we scale the production further, the loader layout becomes noticeably larger. Also, take a look at where these lines finally merge. That is quite a distance. In this layout, inserters don't just win. They do the job perfectly fine and with zero drama. And this happens a lot, actually. And it heavily limits the places where loaders can make the real difference. However, they do have a brilliant, much less obvious advantage: output buffering. If your production output is low, the standard buffering solution works well. But when the throughput gets intense, using loaders suddenly saves a massive amount of space. Take this common solid fuel buffer, for instance. Replacing the old setup with loaders like this, well, the footprint speaks for itself. And I bet some of you have already figured out the most profitable place to apply this logic. Hold that thought. We're about to get just there in a moment. To wrap up the production side of things, none of these examples change my original point. Loaders are not going to magically replace every inserter in your base. And they are definitely not some kind of a win button. They simply give you a choice. Nothing more, nothing less. So the illegal secret here is pretty straightforward. Option A, stick with inserters and stay safe. Option B, use loaders everywhere and build an expensive, oversized, unstable mess. Or option C, use them intentionally. As an engineering tool, you can absolutely be happy with inserters, or you can pay that loader tax and step into a different level of engineering. Think about that for a minute. And meanwhile, here is a link to my next video. Click it and I'll show you how to make a typical base with a main bus, something far more interesting.